A number of years ago, I stopped playing golf. I stopped playing golf for several reasons. First, I was still teaching, so I had enough frustration in my life and I didn't need any more. Secondly, I didn't like the idea of putting chemicals on the grass and the ground, the herbicides and the pesticides and the fertilizers and all those things that were poisoning our water, just so that I could come along later on with my golf clubs and destroy the green grass. And the third reason was the screwy scoring system they have. If I hit a ball in the water, which I frequently did, that was a penalty for me. I hated it. I was very upset when I did that. And then they told me I had to take a penalty on my scorecard in addition to losing the ball. Makes no sense to me. I got out of the game. About the same time, I was volunteering at a soup kitchen. A friend of mine and I were volunteering on a Wednesday, and somebody came in, one of the guests, and asked if anybody there could fix a flat tire. Bill, my friend, had his tools with him. He was an avid biker, and he was able to oblige the guest. Word got out, and as they say, the rest is history. That's where we began. Fast forward now to 2014, and we have R Community Bikes. It's a well-established 501c3, fully incorporated. We have a huge number of volunteers, and every year for the last 3 years, we've given away, free of charge, 2,500 bikes. We've also repaired about 3,000 bikes a year. So approximately 6,000 bikes go through our program. I thought what we would do is all pile into a bus and go over the warehouse, but I couldn't find a bus big enough for 600 people. So the next best alternative is to conduct a video tour, I'll be your video guide, and we'll explain a little bit about what R Community Bikes is, what we do, where we've been, and what we plan on doing. But remember, right from the beginning, it's not only about the bikes. So this is our warehouse at 226 Hudson Avenue, and I tell people it's South Hudson Avenue. It's not just Hudson Avenue, so that you don't get confused. We are not in Irondequoit. We are in the city. We're in the inner city. This is the front of the building. We've remodeled it and made it a little bit nicer looking than it was originally. And this is what it looks like on a typical day. On Wednesday and Saturday, 12 months a year, this is what it looks like. We have lots and lots of people. This was on a summer day, so that there's more people than there would be, for example, today. I doubt that we had many people there today. But this is what it looks like on a typical day: May, June, July, August, September. And all these people are waiting to get one of our new Cadillacs, as they call them. This is transportation for these people. This is not only recreation. People are going to use the bicycles that we give them to get to work, to get to school, to get to treatment programs. They're functional users, not so much recreational users as many of us might be. But it's not only about the bikes, remember. There's Steve. Steve came to us one day. He had gotten a bike from us a couple of weeks prior to that. And he opened up his hand and he had 4 quarters and a dime and a nickel and a penny in his hand, $1.16. I said, Steve, what's $1.16? He said, that's what I've got left over. Left over from what? Left over from the job that I got, because I was able to get to my job because of the bike that you gave me. I still see Steve in the neighborhood every once in a while, and every time I see him, I think of $1.16. And then there's Maria. Maria got a bike from us 6 years ago, and when so many bikes go through the shop every year, you can't possibly remember everybody. But I ran into Maria about 2 months ago. And when I told her I was from R Community Bikes, she said, "Oh, you gave me a bike 6 years ago." And I said, "Oh yeah, what are you doing now?" When she got the bike, she was in rehab. And she used the bike to go from her residence in a halfway house to her rehab assignment. That's how she got back and forth. And I said, "Well, what are you doing now?" What's she doing now? She's the manager, the director of the rehab program that she was in. She's given that bike that we originally gave her to another woman in the halfway house. Not only about the bikes. Our volunteer board, it's color coordinated, as you can see, and it ranges from the pastel colors, or sort of the pastel colors, up to the pink. Pink is as high as you can go. Those are the lead mechanics. Those are the guys who can do everything bicycle. There's one other category, the yellow, and those are what we call the suits. That's what I am. I've got a yellow tag. I'm a suit. And they give us special tools, and I brought some of the tools with me today. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's a special bike tool. It's called a Phillips head screwdriver. This is called a hammer. And I'll tell you who makes these. The very famous bicycle tool maker, Black & Decker. Fisher-Price. Another Fisher-Price. So they don't let me work on a lot of bikes at the shop. I'm a suit. But it's not only about the bikes. The volunteers are the lifeblood of any not-for-profit. Everybody knows that. We have some very interesting volunteers that come through our shop. Kalu Magar is his last name. It's not a very common name in the United States. He's from Nepal, speaks no English, came to us and got a bike, and he was intrigued with what we did. He had never seen most of these tools that we use, these specialty bike tools, but he was intrigued with the whole idea of fixing bikes. And in his limited English, he got across to us that he wanted to join us. And he did. He joined us. And come to find out, in the old country, in Nepal, he was a certified bike mechanic and rickshaw mechanic. But he had never seen most of the tools that we use. So he could take what we call a potato chip rim. Imagine a bicycle rim that's been run over by a semi-trailer. So it's shaped like a potato chip. He could very methodically take that rim apart, spoke by spoke by spoke, take it and slam it on the ground, or hit it with a piece of wood, straighten it out until it was perfect, and put it back together. So what we might have thrown away, he can now reuse. He's also become very acquainted with the American way of eating pizza. He had never seen pizza before, but he now loves it with pepperoni. Doesn't even know what pepperoni is. Al, the gentle giant, came to us after 30 years of incarceration. You're not incarcerated for 30 years for a minor traffic violation. Al came to us because he wanted to give back to the community, even though he was still under some very strict regulations. His parole regulation said, you cannot drive, you cannot get married, you cannot drive a car. You have to write down everything you do, every person you interact with, write it down. Give it to your parole officer. He's been doing that for 5 years now. One of the great things we've seen with Al is the change in his attitude. He came with a wonderful attitude to begin with. His nickname is Marvelous. And that's what he is. He's a marvelous human being. And I'm so happy that now With the help of some people, some friends in the community, and with what we've been able to do with him, he volunteered with us for a long time. He's gotten some of those restrictions removed. In June, he's going to be married. And he's going to start working in violence prevention with ex-cons coming out of the prison. R Community Bikes is not only about the bikes. Our workshop area, this is where all the work gets done. Most of the work gets done. There are 15 work stands, and on a busy day, all 15 of those stands could be in use. Sometimes we'll even have to double up. We have so many volunteers. 3,000 bikes will go through this room here being repaired every year. Sean was in rehab. He came to us and he couldn't carry on a conversation because of his lack of self-esteem. This is the way he would talk to you with his head down, never making eye contact. He had never had any real positive role models in his family or in his life. He's been with us about 2 years, and for whatever reason, he's now worked his way up to the point where he is a lead mechanic. He has volunteered by himself to help us teach apprentice classes on Sunday. He's got his life straightened out. He's got a permanent place to live. And he's one of our finest mechanics. Not only about the bikes. Andre and Mary's Parts Corner. Andre was a gentleman who fixed and sold bikes out of his house on the west side of the city. He passed away a few years ago, and Mary called us and said, "I want my house back. Can you come and take some of these parts that Andre has collected?" So we went over, and anytime somebody says, "You want some parts?" I'll always say yes. What I usually get is a box of derailleurs and broken spokes and some tubes and maybe some junk and oil. Mary donated, and Andre posthumously donated, about $10,000 worth of brand new stuff because he didn't believe in putting used parts on bikes. Major donation. She wanted no credit for it, but we decided to put up the sign. And the sign is important because it's very symbolic of our name. Our name is R Community Bikes. And if you say it the right way, it sounds like our community bikes. We are very much our community. You are very much part of what we do. People brought us bikes today. People have brought us donations in the past. We're very thankful to the philanthropic organizations that support us, to the church groups that support us, to the individuals, and there are hundreds and thousands of individuals who support us every year. This is the cold room. This time of year we don't heat this, we don't heat it any time of the year, but it's also called the holy shit room. When people walk through that door on the left-hand side, I can tell just by looking at them. They're either going to say it or they're going to think it. It is quite impressive. And it's divided into two parts. Closest to the front, on the right-hand side, are what we call our Craigslist bikes. We sell high-end bikes. If somebody donates a Cannondale or a Trek or a Moto Pecan, those are high-end bikes. We will sell those. And we sell them so we can pay our bills. We have bills, we have a mortgage on the building, we have insurance, we have to buy parts and tools and supplies and all sorts of things. So we use the money from the sale of those bikes to pay our bills. I said we're all volunteers. Since I'm the director, I get double what all the other volunteers get. The bikes in the back, those are the bikes that we're going to be giving away. All right, so they're waiting to be repaired, and then we'll give them away. We work 12 months a year, so all during the winter we'll be fixing those bikes, getting them ready to give away in the spring. But it's not about the bikes. We had a 10-year-old come to us during the summer, and he had an idea. His birthday was coming up, and he said, "You know, rather than have my friends give me birthday gifts, how about if I ask them to donate some bike parts to you. And so we got about $200 worth of birthday gifts from this 10-year-old. What a wonderful example he was to all of his friends, to all of his family, and to us too. About a year and a half ago, we got a grant from Excelis. We got another one from Greater Rochester Health Foundation after that to provide bikes for the physically disabled. This is Arsenio, our first recipient, with his dad. Arsenio has severe cerebral palsy. And when we put him on that tricycle, it's very obvious he was not going to be able to ride that tricycle. Dad said, "Don't you worry. This is my son, and I'll pull him through the neighborhood." We've given away about 25 of these tricycles, and each one has a story to tell. We had a 30-year-old competitive cycler come to us, victim of a stroke, paralyzed on his left side, had been a competitive cyclist. He came in, got on the trike, and pedaled away, happy as a clam. There was not a dry eye in the neighborhood. We have a 14-foot trailer. The trailer's parked out in the parking lot right now. It's there to receive bikes today, and whatever we got, we didn't have when we got here, so the bike drive was a success. But we take this trailer to 4 different places. On Tuesday, we go to Westside Farmers Market with Lisa Barker. Wednesday, we still go to St. Joseph's House Hospitality. Thursday, we're at Asbury Church on East Avenue. And Friday, we're at Cameron Street off Lill Avenue. So we're able to meet the needs of people in areas other than Hudson Avenue. The nice thing about this is we have groups of guys that volunteer for these various off-site venues. They love going out there and being in the fresh air and getting away from the chaos of the shop. There's occasionally some chaos at the shop, as you might be able to imagine. Finally, our mural. The mural has been up there for about a year and a half, and it exemplifies a lot of what we are. We are community, we're grassroots, we're bicycles, we're multicultural, we're multi-generational. Our philosophy, maybe, is to improve lives one bicycle at a time. And the lives that we improve can be either the recipients, or the volunteers themselves, or people in the community, our donors. If you have any interest in joining us, if you have any time, any talent, or any treasure that you would like to share with us, see me or any of the guys out there with grease under their fingernails. There is a number of them here today. We would love to have you, and if you come over, you may be also able to pick up a set of used golf clubs. Thank you.